Man United's Ruben Amorim has finally admitted that he is to blame for the team's woeful run of form. After a 3-0 hammering by Manchester City, United have now won just one of their first 5 matches this Premier League season. And although they did show some glimpses of improvement under Amorim, the results simply aren't good enough. And when you're at a club like Manchester United, you can't even be a few months into the job before the sack rumors start circulating. And Amorim knows this. He doesn't shy away from blame. He admits the results have been unacceptable and says that he would understand if the club decided to sack him as coach. I think it's the right thing to say, but we all know that in football, results are what matter most. And if they don't improve, then I'm afraid the Red Devils may have to part ways with their manager. Real Madrid are reportedly ready to go to war with La Liga, and they planning to escalate their complaints to FIFA. The club believes that they have been repeatedly disadvantaged by bad refereeing decisions. Most recently, in their game against Real Sociedad, when Dean Huijsen was shown a red card for a challenge that Eder Militao should have covered. Madrid claims that this issue has been ongoing since last season, and they are now preparing an official dossier of all the bad calls that have been made against them to present to FIFA. If the governing body of world football doesn't take action, then this conflict between Real Madrid and La Liga could grow even bigger. Man City thrashed Man United 3-0 in the 197th Manchester Derby. And in the end, it wasn't even that close. Man City were totally dominant. They outclassed United in every single area of the pitch. And we have to give credit where it's due. Man City were absolutely fantastic. Erling Haaland was electric. He scored twice. And he could have had a hat-trick. But even if he didn't score, he was still the most dangerous man on the pitch. He was involved in everything going forward, and he even helped out in defense, clearing danger, winning aerial duels. He was a true all-round performance. In goal, debutant Gianluigi Donnarumma was flawless. He commanded his area well, came off his line quickly and denied big chances, especially that blistering volley from Bryan Mbeumo. On the other side, Luke Shaw was dreadful. He was at fault for all 3 goals. Bruno Fernandes failed to track his man and made some really poor decisions. When his team needed a leader, and manager Ruben Amorim came under fire for some really odd tactical choices, Man City, on the other hand, they get full marks. They were dominant, precise, and ruthless. Liverpool have been handed a boost ahead of their Champions League clash with Atletico Madrid. As we all know, injuries are a part of football, and unfortunately for Atletico, they've had a few in their last match versus 3 players were forced off. Julian Alvarez, David Henko, and Robin Lenormand. Henko has a slight ache, Alvarez has a bruise, and Lamar has a sprained ankle. But it's Alvarez. Ab says that would be a huge blow, as he has Atletico's top scorer this season with 29 goals and 7 assists in 54 appearances. And to make matters worse, Liverpool are in good form. They're coming off a dramatic 1-2-0 win over Burnley at Anfield. And although they have their own injury concerns with Alexis Mac Allister yet to play a full match and Curtis Jones still out, the Reds will be looking to capitalize on Atletico's weakened state and make their mark in Europe this season. On this day, September 13th, 2025, Juventus pulled off a stunning 4-3 win over Inter Milan in the Derby d'Italia. The hero of the match was 19-year-old Montenegro prodigy Vasilij Adzik, coming off the bench in the 75th minute. Adzik scored a spectacular long-range goal in injury time to secure the win for the old lady. It was his first ever Serie A goal, and it could have come at a more important time. Having risen through the ranks of Budućnost, Adzik now finds himself in the first team of Juventus and the national team of Montenegro. He is being hailed as a major new talent and has already been compared to the likes of Kevin De Bruyne and Steven Gerrard. It was a goal for the ages, and a name that will now be etched in club history. Chelsea manager Enzo Maresca has revealed why he played João Pedro against Brentford, even though the striker had asked to rest. With Nicholas Jackson sent out on loan and Liam Delap injured, Maresca admitted that he had no choice but to rely on Pedro. Despite this, he insisted that his focus was on winning the Brentford match first and foremost, not saving players for the upcoming Champions League clash with Bayern. When asked about playing Pedro despite his injury, Maresca said, "I had no choice. We are talking about a player who in the last 2 or 3 weeks has scored 4 goals in 2 games. Even if he wasn't 100%, He was more than 100% focused on helping the team. And in the end, he made a fantastic assist. My focus is always to win the next game. Of course, we have the Champions League in mind, but we have to recover now from this game and then prepare for the next one. Barcelona absolutely crushed Valencia 6-0 at Estadi Johan Cruyff. And the most impressive part of it all was the energy of 22-year-old midfielder Fermin Lopez. He wasn't just good, he was absolutely brilliant. He scored 2 goals, completed the most dribbles, created big chances and generally dictated play in the middle of the park with over 70 touches. It was his first game in charge of an attack-minded Barcelona side that also had Rafinha and Lewandowski bagging bricks. But it was Lopez's energy, creativity and sheer dominance in the midfield that really made him the heartbeat of this Barcelona team. And no wonder he won the Man of the Match award. This kid is just 22 years old, and he's already a superstar in the making. The Champions League group stage is here, and Arsenal arrive at Sand to take on Bilbao with growing momentum. After returning to the Champions League in 2024, they reached the quarterfinals. Then this past season, they made it all the way to the semi. Despite injuries to key players like Bukayo Saka, William Saliba, Kai Havertz and doubts over Martin Odegaard's fitness, Arteta has enough squad depth to remain dangerous. As evidenced by their 3-0 win over Nottingham Forest on Saturday, Bilbao impressed in La Liga last season. They finished 4th under Ernesto Valverde, but they have limited experience of modern-era Champions League football. And several key absences, notably Nico Williams, Laporte and Yare Alvarez, weakens their strength. Arsenal have beaten Spanish sides in their last 2 Champions League matches, and they're re-looking good to make it 3 out of 3 here.